Hi, and welcome to the Good Morning Marketers podcast. I'm Sophie.
Hi, everyone, and also welcome to the Good Morning Marketers podcast. And my name is Himanshu, and I'm a digital marketing manager here at Mitchell & Stones.
And I'm also a digital marketing manager here at Mitchell & Stones. And today, Himi and I thought it would be good to have a conversation. Really, I've got a webinar coming up that some of you might be attending. If you are, I look forward to seeing you there. And the webinar is going to be all about the recipe. I love baking, so the recipe for what makes a good marketing strategy. So we were thinking about, what should we talk about, and that seems like a good place to start. It's our day-to-day, everyday kind of topic of conversation, really, working with all the clients that we work with.
I'm guessing you also love Great British Bake Off as well, then, in that case.
I do love Great British Bake Off. I actually applied to be on the Great British Bake Off once.
Amazing.
I didn't make it, hence why I'm here. No, joking. I do love baking, and I think any good baker knows that it's like a precise amount of different ingredients that creates the right bake. So I wonder, what do you think is an important ingredient in a marketing strategy that really is powerful? Because I think there are so many different kind of ideas around this of what people think you need. What would you say?
Yeah, you're completely right. There's so many ingredients that go into a great strategy, isn't there? So I would say some of the key ingredients range from really understanding who you're targeting, number one.
Yeah.
What product you're targeting them with. Mm-hmm. And then it goes into that saying, the right message at the right time through the right channels.
Yeah.
And that's really what we as marketers thrive and really aim to achieve in the world of digital marketing that we live in.
Yeah.
But it all starts with knowing your customer.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I actually love that stage of a strategy when you're just sort of in that, absorbing all the information stage, really getting to know who it is that you're kind of selling to or marketing to. What I like to actually do is, I feel like I'm a very visual person, and I feel like I think it's really important to literally be able to feel like you could have a conversation with that person. Because I think lots of organisations say, oh yeah, we know who our ICP, ideal customer profile, or target audience is. But I think often businesses can be quite wrong about that, and I think that's for a few reasons. I think that's maybe because, 10 years ago what your target audience was might not be the same right now. And whoever your current clients or customers or members or whatever else are isn't necessarily reflective of who your potential new segments could be that you could potentially be targeting.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of kind of missed opportunities, really, because businesses have a fixed idea about who they're right for and who could benefit from them. But actually, it turns out there are other people that could as well.
Yeah, completely.
I love to kind of, almost give these people names and kind of flesh out the idea of what their life is like and what they're frustrated about and give them, if I get
really visualize the end user.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think that helps when you're writing content.
Completely,
You're not just writing content for this kind of vague idea of what the target audience is. You're writing content for Mark or for Katie or whoever it is. And that helps you, I think, to connect with the person more.
Yeah, it's so true, because as marketers, when we are so far removed from the products and services that we sell, it's sometimes quite difficult to imagine the end user. And when you create that demographic profile and then that ICP that you mentioned, it really helps you visualize the end user, and it really helps you put your products and market your products in a way that is ultimately going to reach the end user in the best possible way.
Yes.
So what other tools do you use to create that demographic profile then?
I guess data first and foremost. So that's the first thing that I will look at. Get hold of literally any existing data that we can have from previous campaigns that we've run. I think often a really big mistake is, companies can run marketing campaigns, and if something hasn't really generated the return they'd have liked to have seen, they can kind of throw that in the bin and not want to see it anymore. But actually there's so much learning in a failed campaign. There's so much to be gained from that. And so I think just looking at every single thing that a company or an organisation has done before and trying to digest the data, I think that's something that people really, really miss out on. often the lesson or the direction that we're supposed to be going in is actually right there in front of us in the data, but people just don't take the time to
so
digest
true.
it.
So true.
So I think that's a key thing. And then, just research, really, just having the finger on the pulse all the time of like, you know, what are trends at the moment. I used to talk with like Answer the Public sometimes as well.
Okay, yeah.
It's like really good.
And Google Trends as well are pretty good as well.
As well. So all those sorts of things to try and get to know the ICP, and also to try and think about if there's anybody in my life who kind of fits that profile, and get to know them and maybe sound some ideas off them, and, you know, work out how this plays out in real life rather than just it all being this fictional thing in my head. But I think that's so important. I think I often give the analogy of like, that's where you have to be really aligned with everything at the beginning. And if you don't quite get that right, you kind of, it's like you're all in a field and you wear the blindfold and you all start walking, but you take the blindfold off 2 days later and you're all really, really far scattered away from each other. Because you haven't really got the same idea at the beginning of what you're trying to achieve. So I think just getting everyone on board with who it is we're speaking to is super important.
So then going back to your analogy of baking, our first ingredient is knowing the customer through tools like ICP, and you've obviously got other tools like, customer value statement, which is really just talking about who, what, why, and when, to really build this full picture of the end user for our campaign. What's the next ingredient then?
Well, I feel like we can't talk about marketing strategy and not talk about the infamous marketing funnel and all its variations.
Absolutely.
I feel like the funnel is also useful for baking, so that's a useful link in there.
Perfect.
So I feel that, the marketing funnel, I think, is everyone's kind of picture of what a marketing funnel could look like. I know you've shared a lot of thoughts with me on this, and that's been really useful. Maybe you can talk us through.
Yeah, so for me, the marketing funnel has been a very strategic tool to get the right message and work on this marketing campaign or any campaign through a strategic lens. So, at the top of the funnel, we've got brand awareness, where we just want to get the brand out there. And then at the middle of the funnel, you've got consideration, where we're really just trying to get the audience to consider the product and continue to develop that brand further. And what we in marketing world call whetting the appetite, as they say. And then you've got the conversion funnel, really just the hard-hitting message of, yep, you've seen our brand, you've seen what we can do. Here's our call to action of go and buy now, or enroll now, or something like that, to just really that hard-hitting message of sales. And that kind of builds a nice picture of what the brand is, what products we offer, and then ultimately we try to just get them to buy it. And so in my eye, that's what the marketing funnel is. And of course, you've got different variations of it. In your experiences then, Sophie, how have you utilized the marketing funnel?
So I think I always, thanks for just, I feel like it's such a insightful way to look at it, really. In terms of how I've always approached this, I guess I less think about a funnel, but it's the same thing, really. I think about the balance between, I guess, what you would consider the top of funnel activities versus the bottom of funnel activities. I think when people are in need of marketing, perhaps they, haven't had such a successful year, or they need to have growth, or whatever it might be, it's so easy to be attracted to those bottom of funnel activities. So, putting budget into Google Ads, paid ads, whatever it might be. And that works okay. But what tends to happen is we get into this cycle of almost kind of buying customers, basically, because there's no brand awareness there. We're just putting budget in, getting the customer in, but the cost per acquisition is pretty high because there's no foundation laid for people to be like more organically thinking about us. So I think that sales activation or short-term marketing activities are important, and of course we need them. They're there for that instant hit of kind of momentum and return ultimately. But no marketing strategy, I don't think, is complete with that. I think that's a very sort of fly by the seat of your pants kind of approach to marketing. It works, then it stops working, it's very turbulent. So I think you have to have that with also that top of funnel approach, which I call like the long-term brand building. Which is really hard to get people on board with sometimes. I think we've experienced that, and I totally get it. You know, marketing is an investment, and what do people want from an investment? They want a return. Long-term brand building doesn't give you that tangible return within 2 weeks, within a month, within 3 months. Hey, 6 months down the line, I still might not really be able to show you something tangible in the way of a metric or a lead that's come from that. But there's so much science that proves that it does work. And what does long-term brand awareness mean? Well, it means posting consistently on LinkedIn, having active social media, nurturing your existing CRM list with nice newsletters, and keeping them informed and educated. It's all of those activities that so sadly really are the activities that get crossed off from the list because people think, no, that doesn't generate leads. No, it might not generate leads today, but it might generate a lead in a year. And that's where I think people fall down.
Yeah, I completely agree.
That balance.
Yeah. So now that we've got a grasp of our audience, that's our first ingredient. Our second ingredient is really just understanding the marketing funnel. So our cake in our Great British Bake Off is coming out really well.
Yeah.
The third ingredient, I would say, is the data, would you say, or reporting?
Yeah.
How important is reporting in this cake mix?
I think so important. I think both you and I love that. That's part of the marketing that...
We're data geeks.
Yeah, we are. And I feel that to some extent, all marketers need to be.
Yeah.
Because, you know, sometimes you and I have a conversation about the fact that often marketing takes place and people don't actually have an idea of what the return is on their activities.
Yeah.
And to you and I, that's really scary, but it's actually kind of quite common. So yeah, I think the reporting is essential because if you're putting energy into something, you need to know if it's working.
Yeah.
And you need to know, you know, not just if it's working or if it's not working, but what specific campaign is working, what specific CTA is working, what time of day, what gender, what age group. So the more levels of data you can have, the better. And I think that's what makes the cake. I think we might be running out of time in a second. Do you have anything to add? But
no, I think we've covered the recipes really well, and I think our cake is in the oven and it's ready to be baked.
Yeah, I think so. I think you just got to remember all those levels. It is literally like a tiered system. You've got to respond.
Know your audience. Know the message that you're going to send to them. Know the channel that you're going to send to them via, and know the times and the days and so on. And once you can master that, I think you've got a great marketing strategy, one that's sure to be a success.
Yes, and tasty. Bon appetit.
And tasty. Yep. Well,
thanks,
absolutely. It's been
nice to speak to you.
great conversing with you as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Have a nice weekend. Bye.
You too.